Okay, I'm going to show you how to assemble your automata box using assembly constraints and creating an Autodesk Inventor assembly. So here we have the three parts that you should have created: the back, top and bottom, and side. So to begin a new assembly, I'm going to go to File, New, and then Assembly. I'm going to create a standard IAM assembly. Click Create. Okay, when you come into an assembly file, you'll see the ribbon has changed to match what you're doing. The assemble is already selected, and you have place and create. We are going to place. That means that we're going to place a specific part or a component into this assembly. When you click place, it brings up a file list and says, where do you want to look? You should have saved your or downloaded your parts into your downloads file. We got to think about this logically. If we're building this box, we're going to build the bottom first and then build up from there. So I'm going to select top bottom and say open. When it comes in, let me zoom out a little bit here, and it's straight up and down. I want this to be flat on the ground, so I'm going to rotate this along the x-axis to flatten it out, and then I rotate it again along the z-axis, and then I'm going to place it by clicking the left mouse button. When I move off this, you can see that you can still place multiple parts. Really, in assemblies, try to place one at a time, so we're not going to place the top at this time. We're just going to start building off the bottom. So you can right-click and say OK. So now we have our bottom placed. I'll zoom out a little bit here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ground this piece. That means that it will not move. You want to ground one piece of your assembly just to have your overall assembly grounded. It makes things easier for you while you're building. And I'm going to first make sure that this is my home view. Now I'm going to right-click on the bottom, and I'm going to select Grounded. Now that part won't move. So now we're going to bring in other parts and create our assembly. So I'm going to bring in the sides, not both at the same time. I'm going to bring one part in at a time. So again, I go to Place, and I'm going to bring my side in and say Open. And here's my side. Again, I want to rotate it along the y-axis because it's going to be a side. So I'm going to rotate 90 degrees on the y-axis. You don't need to do that, but it just makes my life easier and makes your life easier. So there you go. So I'm going to place this assembly near where it will, or place this part near where it will be. Again, I have the option of more. We're not going to do that yet. I'm just going to hit OK. So in order to assemble parts, we need to create constraints. Each of these parts can move in 6 degrees of freedom right now. I can move it along the z-axis, I can move it along the x-axis, I can move it up and down along the y-axis. I can also rotate it along those axes. So I'm going to click View, Degrees of Freedom, and it shows me, hey, you can rotate it on all 3 axes and you can move it on all 3. So I need to eliminate all of these degrees of freedom one by one in the place where I want this part to be in the assembly so that it can't move. So go back to Assemble in the ribbon. We're going to go to the Relationships part of the ribbon, and I'm going to click Constrain. Now when you come up, it says Assembly, Motion, Transitional Constraint. Today we're only going to work about assemblies, and we're only going to work in the Mate constraint by using Mate or Flush. Mate means that you want 2 pieces to connect together. Flush means you want them to align with each other. So the first thing I want to do is I want to mate this side to the bottom and make them connect. So you click Mate, and it's going to say which two surfaces do you want to mate. I want to mate. I want it to stick here, and I want the bottom of the side to meet there, and you get that little thing. I'm going to hit Apply. I'm going to close this right now just to show you that I still have some degrees of freedom. However, the y-axis moving is gone. I can't rotate on the y, and I can't move off the y. So I can still move and rotate x and z. But I want this thing to be stuck right there on the side, or it won't move at all. So now I'm going to go back to constrain, and I'm going to select flush. I want the front of this side to stay flush with the front of the bottom. Now that's done. And apply. I'm going to close this box right now. Now it can only move along this axis. Well, I need to lock it in again right there. Look at it from the other side and say I want another flush constraint. This side, flush. This side of my bottom. Hit apply. And now I can't move this at all because the bottom is grounded. I can't move this at all. So one side is constrained and assembled. I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to place another side. Place. It says, do you want to place the side again? Yes, I do. Again, I'm going to rotate this along the y-axis to get it in the right orientation just to help me out. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to show you how to do it without it. So it's pretty easy. Hit OK. Say OK. First thing I want to do is I want to constrain. I want to mate the top of the bottom surface here and the bottom of this side right here. It says OK. Gotcha. I can hit apply. Now this is kind of meta. I don't have to go out of this dialog window. I've applied it. I can stay in the place constraint dialog and still do flush and mates and all the other ones. Right now I'm going to do a flush. I'm going to say I want the side of this bottom to be flush with the side of this. And it will automatically rotate it for me. Boom, there you go. I hit apply and I say, okay, before I close this window, I want this back right here, it doesn't matter, I can do back or the front, to be flush with this. Boom, assembled. Hit apply. Now I'm going to place the back. Bring it in. Put it right around here somewhere and say, okay, I want you right around there somewhere. Hit OK. Let's do our mate constraint. I want to mate the bottom of this side with that. And now I'm going to do apply and say flush the back of this with the back of this. Very cool. Apply. And I'm going to flush. Actually, I'm going to mate. I'm going to mate the side of this because this back fits inside the two sides. I'm going to mate that with, rotate this all around, this surface here, and boom, there we go. Hit apply. I'm going to close this place constraint box. You can see none of my parts want to move. All the degrees of freedom have been removed from all of them. The last part I'm going to put in is the top. So I'm going to place. I'm going to place another top bottom. Open. I'm going to just place this. So I want it to be oriented with this. Let me hit OK. This side right here, flush with the front. So first thing I'm going to do is a mate constraint. I'm going to mate this surface with this surface. Boom. Hit apply. Now I'm going to flush this surface with this surface. It's going to say, okay, cool. Apply. I'm going to flush this surface with this surface and apply. And I'm going to hit home again. And there is my automata box, all constrained. Nothing's moving. All degrees of view, degrees of freedom. All degrees of freedom have been removed. And we're done. That is how you use basic mate and flush constraints to create assemblies in Autodesk Inventor.